Let me bang. I do let you bang. Hey, let me bang you, man. I let you bang. I let you bang. Greetings, nerds and virgins.
Go for Jesus. No for gay Jesus, people.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for your favorite mixed martial arts podcast. Recording out of Los Angeles, California, it's MMA Roasted with Adam Hunter.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
Hey, welcome to a brand new MMA Roasted Podcast. It's me, Adam Hunter. I'm here with Greg Romero Wilson. The Ween Dog is here, Joseph Aaron Perez.
What's up, dude?
I'm in Vegas. I'm recording my special tomorrow. This has been like the weirdest way to prepare for a special during COVID. Because normally I do like 8 shows a week beforehand and like, but
oh, absolutely.
And also, not to mention, it's like I have like 25 minutes of MMA stuff that I can't. I've been practicing on Zoom, which. Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta roll with the punches.
Listen, man, if it works on Zoom, it is bulletproof.
That's actually kind of true. But dude, I did one Zoom show a couple weeks ago. Literally, there was a guy dressed in camouflage with a microphone, but like one of those like mics, and he had an AK-47 with him the entire time. I don't know if he was Antifa or some kind of white nationalist. I didn't even want to ask because it was already making everyone uncomfortable. There was like 9 people there and one guy, and I was gonna kick him out of the show, but he was like our best audience member. So like, and like I needed audience members. But yeah, right now I'm just and then I did a show last Saturday to prepare for this. I did a show at a drive-in. I'm outside and there's all these cars there, and if they like your jokes, they honk at you.
Yeah.
And then if they really like it, they bright you. This is how I actually, this is how I'm preparing for this. But I'm excited. I'm just tired, man. Like I'm tired. I'm like, I have to remember to like have fun, not beat myself up. Because I'm the person, if I don't get enough sleep, then the whole day is like, I didn't get enough sleep. Now I'm going to be tired. I'm going to bomb. Everyone's going to tell me I suck. It's just, I get into this like fucking snowball. And I'm back in therapy the last couple of weeks. I'm doing my therapy via Zoom. And my therapist is hot, of course. And then my wife gets upset because she's like, why can't you just tell me these problems? And I'm like, you don't understand, you're not a therapist. She's like, well, just tell me. And she's like, well, what'd you tell the therapist? I'm like, so now I'm in the other room whispering my problems to my wife's in the other room working because I'm talking about my wife and how
totally exactly. Yeah, it's like you can't talk to her about her. You need to go talk to someone else about her.
I feel like I'm like should be giving this therapist tokens, like it's a cam girl. I'm telling her my issues. So that's good though. I have a good therapist, which is good. And I'm in Vegas.
Can I tell you, I used to have a hot girl therapist too, and it was the worst because sometimes I'd be kind of, I'd be like, God, she's fucking hot. And then she'd be like, just tell me what you're thinking. And all I wanted to say was, I'm thinking I want to eat your pussy right now. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, if you want me to be honest with you, we're supposed to be honest here. All I can think about is eating your pussy. I had to stop seeing her because she was too hot.
I just feel stupid talking about like, that's hilarious, by the way. That is, I wonder what she would, I mean, she would have to be, what if she said, okay? I mean, what would, I doubt, but
that'd be some therapy I'd feel good about paying for. In fact, that would be the session I'd be like, if you want to charge me your standard rate instead of the discount artist rate today, I think you earned it. I would have gone full boat. I would have been like, charge the insurance for 2 sessions. You earned it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the point where I tell my therapist I'm not wearing pants yet. But once, no, I'm kidding. But she said, but I have been talking about like watching porn because like when I go on the road, I watch porn, and I feel like I shouldn't be watching porn. I should save it for my wife, and because also the porn that I watch is like that strip club porn where it's the male strippers and the girls all take turns like blowing them, and because I've like done that in my life. Anyway, this is an MMA podcast. What are we talking about?
Yeah. It's a half MMA podcast. I would say it's a mostly MMA podcast, depending on the episode.
My kid was really cute the other day. Like I was, she did something on the computer. She solved something by herself, and she goes, "Daddy, tell me you're proud of me." And I thought that was like, because I always say, "Well, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you." So I told her I was proud of her. But like, I'm always changing her diaper, and when I never want to poop shame her, So I tell her, "Oh, it's okay. Everybody poops. Daddy poops. Mommy poops." And then we get to like, depending on how big the poop is, how many people we get to, So I'm like, "Mommy's friend Stephanie poops." So then mommy's friend Stephanie came over. The first thing she goes, "Stephanie poops," and she had like a date. She had like a date with her. It was like sort of, that's the.
Well, she's not wrong.
No, Stephanie. And then we have this thing called the potty princess, where we're trying to potty train the kid. So she puts on a princess hat, and I read a book to her called "I'm the Potty Princess," and then she wears a crown while she goes on the potty, her little potty. I'm like, we're not setting this kid up for failure at all, huh? This is just fucking crazy. Anyway, you opened for Too Short over the weekend?
Yeah, I did my first drive-in comedy show. It was for Big Boy, the legendary radio DJ. And it was his Funny Mofos show. And then they had Big Boy come out. It was turned into an evening of comedy and music. And so it was my first drive-in show, and it was put together. It's funny because it was put together by the Improvs. The Improvs put it together, and they had the big inflatable, screen with us on it, and then we were on a little tiny stage off to the side, not like directly beneath that screen. We were off to the side, so that was kind of weird to begin with. And so we were joking with them about, "Hey, what do we with this day?" And they're like, "We think we know how to put on a show." That was their big, "We got it. We're not going to tell you how to be funny. You don't tell us how to put on a show." Like, and then, first of all, it takes a certain skill set to do a drive-in show where there's no laughter really coming back at you. And if you think about it, Zoom is a great warm-up to this, but apparently none of these guys have done that. Because none of them handled it very well. I mean, they all tried valiantly, but I mean, they really were completely thrown. And then I got up there and I crushed. Good. Because I could see exactly. I was like, this just needs energy and full attack mode and not worrying about anything else and just go out there and having a ball.
And knowing when to pause.
Right. And just running it as if it's all going great. And I did that and the audience loved it and people were hitting me up a lot. "You were the best by far," and everything. But okay, so here they are with this production, and I'm kind of making fun of the lighting and stuff like that because it was all very harsh and right at you. And so then Eric Blake goes up there to close out the comedy part, and like 2 minutes into his set, the power goes out.
Oh,
and not just a little bit. First the radio. That was the other thing. They didn't have any speakers up for sound to go out to the crowd automatically. They all had to tune into the radio, and the first thing that lost power was the radio. So the radio signal goes out. Okay, nobody can hear them. Everyone just starts honking their horns to let us know that they don't have the radio signal anymore. So then they're like, "Wait a minute, we're trying to figure it out right now." Then all the power goes out, all the lights, all the video. So then you see all these, the carts from the people that run the play. They're all rushing over there to try and fix it. They finally get it back up and running. Eric starts again. Boom, it goes out again. So then right. So, and it's not like he can even riff. No one could hear him. No one can do anything. He's just like, he's just a man screaming in a field at this point, like nobody can fucking hear him. Then the power comes on again for the stage, but not for the video. So the giant screen, so they had to go and find a separate generator and bring it out and start it up and start running the video again off a separate generator. So then the power finally starts going again. Then it goes out again, completely out. Now people just start driving out. Now they're leaving the fucking show. They're fucking going, but a bunch of people stay because they know Too Short's coming. And then magically, and this fucking poor Eric, what a trooper. He was fighting so hard. But when it finally came back on, it had cut out like 4 times at this point during his set. And like he was like, "I'm just gonna wrap up with this joke." And it's like he he was so lost with the joke at a certain point, he just stopped telling it and was like, you know what, let's bring out Too Short. And they bring out and Too Short goes up there, does his like 3 or 4 hits. It was just like the main parts of it. And then, but luckily the power did not go out on Too Short. So he had a good little set, and then that was it. But I mean, it was.
Well, Eric's been shot. He was in gangs. You know, he's had a crazy life. It's like he's probably just like, you know, when you've been shot and you were a gang member and you have like 12 kids, it's like, fuck it.
Yeah, he was a trooper, man. He was fighting through, but it was just tough because they didn't bother to set up any real sound. The only on stage speakers were the monitors. Those were the only speakers.
Did I ever tell you the time I opened for Too Short?
No.
I was driving in there used to be a club. It was in Monterey, and I'm driving there that night. Club Gemini, and on the radio it says tonight, Club Gemini, Too Short, and I'm like, I'm fucking at Club Gemini tonight. Like, it's weird, right? And that's so. Right. Then I call the club and I go, hey, you know, I'm 6 hours into the drive now. I'm like, hey, is Too Short there tonight? They're like, yeah. I'm like, what about the comedy show? Oh, that's before Too Short. I'm like, okay. So I get there and the whole place is packed with like people from the Bay, like Too Short fans. Like no one's there for comedy, right? And it's me, like D Militant, and then Too Short, right? So I go up there, and no one wants to hear stand-up comedy. So I do a couple jokes, and like people are like, "Fuck this! Who's this white boy, motherfucker?" You know, like. So I just kind of start cursing after the joke, like, and I'm like, "Motherfucker!" Like I was kind of newer in the comedy, not newer, but like, and then I like survived. I did fine, but it was not the kind of crowd. D Militant goes on and like goes off on white people for 20 minutes, but in a really funny way. He fucking does good. Too Short is an hour late because he's getting a blowjob in the limo, right? That's what allegedly. Right? So then he comes out. I believe it. It's supposed to end at 1:00. It's like 12:30, right? He comes out, does like 2 songs, and then but they have to end at 1. And then he goes, you know what? Fuck this place. You know what? This song's about making money. He goes, you know what? I'm not doing any more songs until you guys give me $5,000. Tries to hold up the crowd. So now people start like passing around like a bucket to like and there's like $9 and no one's putting any. Everyone's like, what the fuck? I paid, you know. Then he goes, all right, I want 2 sperm swallowers to blow me right now. These 2 fucking like fat white girls get up there. They're like, we'll blow you. He goes, I said sperm swallowers, not sperm whales, right? And everyone's like, oh, people are running around like throwing shit. He does one more. He does like half a song, and then the lights go on. The show, they have to get out, right? Now people, it's like 3 songs. He held up the crowd and almost got a fucking blowjob on stage. A fucking riot breaks out, right? People are angry, and they start fighting, like 4 fights. Like just bottles get thrown. Fucking mobs are fighting. I'm hiding behind the bar with like the owner's wife, like fucking ducking bottles that are getting thrown. But I'm entertained. This is like. I'm eating popcorn.
It's just wild, yeah. Like, they're not coming after you. It's like, what do you care?
So all the cops come, like madness, right? I come back the next day. The owner says to me, let me talk to you, Adam. I go, what? He goes, you were too dirty last night. I go, I was too dirty. Like, what about the fucking race war that fucking broke out? And the yeah, that's my Too Short story.
Oh anyway. My God. Yeah, he was and that's the thing, like he just did like basically the choruses to the 4 hits, you know, and then that was it. You know, it was maybe like 10 minutes long, and then he walked. And here's the other thing, like, okay, so the stage, most everybody is on stage right. I'm on stage left because I didn't want to be around everybody, you know? So I'm on the other side by myself. And of course, him and the 2 hot girls he's with, they come up and stand around me. Now, they don't talk to me. They don't address me. They just stand around me. And then he goes on stage. Then he comes back and he's like walking right at me. And I felt like I had to say something to him. So I'm like, hey, that was great, man. And he goes, get to the heart of it, get on with it. And I was like, all right, good note. Solid note. That explains. Yes. Okay. I get it now. Thank you. That makes sense.
We just do our punchlines, like no setups. Just do punchlines.
No setups, just the punchlines. So get off stage and be like, get to the heart of it and get on with it.
So, Weed Dog, how was your weekend? What'd you do?
Well, you know, the great thing about living in an apartment that was built in the 1700s is that not only does the interior look old as shit, but the plumbing in your apartment is old as shit too. So over the past few days, I had my entire bathroom got flooded out with water because I don't know. The pipes are just so old. I woke up in the morning, I went to the bathroom and I took one step into the bathroom and my foot went into like 3 inches of ice cold water on the floor.
Oh,
and
shit.
A large portion of my carpet is like destroyed. And now the sink in my kitchen is now fucked up. So I've just been learning how to do basic plumbing shit on YouTube to try to survive. You know, it sucks, but I'm hanging in there.
That sounds like another thing, speaking of shit. So Dominic Cruz, I got Dominic, Phil Davis, and Angela to be in a sketch this year, and a pseudo sketch for the awards. And Dominic Cruz is so funny because having to convince him to be in a sketch is like exactly how you would. I'm like, Dominic, man, hey, will you do the sketch? And it's like similar to like Cormier, all about the cake and chicken, like that, making him look really kind of silly. And there's just like awkward pauses. And he's like, you know, Adam, luckily I'm in a place now where I'm trying to, I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone. And he's like, there's like 25 reasons why I'm totally against this idea, but okay.
Well, at least he voiced his concerns in advance. It's almost like he's pre-registering his complaints. So at any point during it, he'd be like, see, this is what I was talking about. I'm out of here.
He is a funny person. Like, first of all, when I write these songs for people, I have to research them. And because I have to write funny lyrics about them, but I also have to know who I'm writing about. So I didn't realize that Henry Cejudo, everyone talks about Cejudo as like the king of cringe and cringy. This dude lived with, first of all, his father was like a complete drug addict, out of his life, like left him and his brothers when he was a kid. He grew up in like dirt poor, like trailer park, Arizona, like the ghetto of Arizona, basically. He didn't even have his own bed. He slept with his siblings. When he made the USA wrestling team, they bought him his own mattress. And that was the first time he ever slept in his own bed. So... like, I'm like, well, I give like that never gets told that story. Yeah, maybe he does, but it's just, you always say king of cringe. But this dude, like, a lot of props to the Cejudo because he came out, and Dominic Cruz grew up in a trailer park too, like trailer park, which, not that I would assume that, Cruz grew up with like a spoiled guy, but he doesn't carry himself as like, when I think of a kid that grew up in a trailer park, I don't think Dominic Cruz.
You think of Mike Perry.
So, yeah, maybe. Shout out to both those guys for really overcoming some serious obstacles in their lives and achieving what.
Well, and I was going to say this is what they mean by being hungry.
Yeah.
These are the guys that are willing to sacrifice everything because when you got nothing, you got nothing to lose. People that are comfortable, it's harder for them to put in the kind of sacrifice that these guys are willing to put in. And that is often the formula for a champion is absolutely coming from a place where it's like, listen, I got nothing else. So I'm putting all my eggs in this basket. I'm going to have nothing else to do but work hard.
Sometimes you get the opposite. Like I heard BJ Penn came from money. I heard that Kenny Florian, his parents had a lot of money, but I think more often than not, it's kids that like, really had something to kind of, I need to get this wrestling scholarship in order to pay for college.
Yeah. I mean, we see the same thing in stand-up. I mean, there are a lot of guys that come from absolute nothing. And then there's some guys that are sons of influence, that have a ton of money. And those guys tend to do really well because, they don't go into every audition fucking starving, going, I really need this. They go in comfortable and they do great because, whatever,
Yeah, but you also see like, the reason I dropped out of college, part of it was like I didn't want to have a backup plan. I wanted to go all or nothing. I don't want to have a net. And I think a lot of people try to like hedge their bets where they go, okay, I'll go to college, I'll get a job, I'll do this, and then I'll do stand-up on the side. And I feel like that almost never works. It's just like.
Well, I think that's how you wind up with what we have. We have so many lawyers that wind up in stand-up and stuff like that. I think a lot of it comes from that of like, okay, I'm going to do this. They're like, but I really want to do this, so. Yeah,
but for every Greg Giraldo, there's like 20 of the unfunniest lawyers you've ever seen in your entire life.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I mean, there's been quite a few in stand-up. Dimitri Martin, what's his name? That Italian guy who he became a judge for a minute out of New York.
No, Greg Giraldo, right?
No, also Greg Giraldo, but I mean, his name's escaping me right now. I'm so bad at names. But he became a judge, and then they were like, listen, you can't be doing stand-up and be a judge. They're like, you got to quit doing stand-up. He goes, or I can quit being a judge. So he quit being a judge to keep doing, and just went back into private law so he could keep doing stand-up.
When I was in New York City, I was doing comedy in laundromats. Jody Wasserman and Danny Cohen, two of my favorite people ever. They used to run shows where there were no shows. Like the worst possible. Like they did a supermarket where you do comedy at the checkout line. People are buying food, and then they go look up. And if you like held up the line, it meant you were doing okay, right? And then I did a supermarket, and then I did a laundromat, and it was like
I remember the laundromat shows. Yeah,
it was a homeless crowd. Like they would literally come in, and I remember it was me and Dimitri Martin and Brody Stevens used to do it. And Brody was the funniest because that was the fucking perfect place for him to do comedy. But I remember when Dimitri Martin, there was a guy, Andrew Donnelly, who was a very funny guy. He's in like every commercial now. But he remember him taking on stage, he goes over to the dryer and he goes, let me put this on No Career.
I remember there was one, I remember doing one of those in the basement of this place, and the basement like had been leaking, and so there's water on the ground, and the water had knocked out the power to the light system, so there was no lights. So everyone was taking they had plugged in an extension cord with a light bulb, and and so it was some kind of light and like a coffee can. And so what you had to do was whoever was on deck had to hold the light for whoever was performing. And then they would finish it. Then you got to hand the light to the next person who had to hold it for you while you performed in this fucking wet basement, man.
I was in college one time, and the show was brought to you by the Cancer Society. And before the show, they had a 5-minute video of all these kids who died of cancer. And then they showed like everybody's like, I'm pretty sure they showed like died age 5, like exactly when they died.
Oh
and
my God.
And they go, time for the comedy show. And I remember going on there and seeing all these crying eyes. And I'm like, this is my opening act. Like, this is what you guys, we couldn't put this after, you know, like.
One of my first ever corporate dates, I was doing a 2-man act called Greg and Greg. And they had hired this small town. A friend of mine's mom was like the city secretary or whatever. So she got them to hire us for their annual Christmas dinner. So we go down there to do this Christmas dinner. And apparently because they had entertainment this year, like everybody decided to come, whereas normally nobody really comes. And so they ended up with like 3 times as many people at this thing in this venue that wasn't really built for that. You know, they were in 3 separate rooms. They ended up spreading out over 3 separate rooms. So the woman comes up to us and she goes, listen, some of the people have already finished their food. Some people are eating right now. Some people still haven't eaten. Everybody's mad. Let's just start the show. And we were like, okay. So we start the show. Nobody jives with it. Nobody likes the show. They're like, what the fuck is this shit? And I'll never forget, this little old lady just gets up from the front table, pushes her chair in, and looks at the rest of the group and goes, I just can't listen to any more of this. And walked out.
God.
And that was my first corporate gig as a stand-up.
Speaking of a guy who's been around, Johnny Case is with us. Johnny Case, a UFC vet, Bellator vet, PFL vet, Ryzen vet. Are you back in the PFL? Is that why we're back in PFL?
I am. Yep. I re-signed back with the PFL, and unfortunately this season got canceled because of fucking COVID. But yeah, looking ready to start off 2021 and chase that title.
Good. I'm happy that they're back because I'm working for them.
Nice.
But also they signed Verdum, which is good. And then Bubba Jenkins in the PFL too, by the way. Bubba Jenkins.
Oh, nice. Our boy Bubba is back. Great.
Yeah, I guess PFL stands for pretty fucking large because he's huge right now.
Is Bubba coming into lightweight or is he going welterweight?
I don't know what he's coming into, but I'm happy because PFL is great. It's a tournament where you can win $1 million. I mean, talk about changing your life. I mean, Lance Palmer has won $2 million in 2 years, and he's complaining. Fucking guy. I don't know what he's doing, but
ungrateful,
right? I mean, $2 million. But I think, Johnny, man, the fights that you lost in the PFL, I had you winning. And so many of your fights, I think you have a great record. What's like 20-7 or some insane record, right? But
27-7-1.
27-7-1. You could easily be like 32-2 or something because someone went your way. There were so many split decisions of guys that you beat that like went the other way, but it was in the hometown or you got robbed and yada yada. So and then when you went to Japan, they poisoned you. I don't know if that happened, but I'm like making that up. But how are you?
There really is only 2 guys that have. Hello, they're cut out. There really is only 2 guys in my career that have ever truly beat me. Every other loss that I've had, I've fucked up. I made a mistake, and when you're fighting the best guys in the world, you make one mistake, and they're going to capitalize. So, 2 guys have only really kicked my ass, and that's Tofik and then Tony Martin.
Well, that's a good. That's a really good stat to have. Now, you went to Korea to train the Korean Zombie for his fight. What was that like?
And that was an experience for sure. So we started off the trip and they're like, hey, you guys are going to have to do like a 2-week quarantine when you're over here, but no big deal. You'll be able to go to the Airbnb. You'll all be together. You'll be able to train and whatnot. So we get there and it's nothing like what they say. As soon as we land, there's guys in fucking hazmat suits come on the plane, escort us out, put us on these buses and take us to these hotels that are guarded by the military. And they take us, they separate us, they put us in rooms all by ourselves, like it's like a 10 by 20 fucking prison cell base basically, and they tell us if at any time we open that door and come and step outside that door, they're gonna arrest us for terrorism.
Oh shit!
We have COVID, and we give COVID to like a South Korean, like person, then that's terrorism, and then we're gonna go to jail for 2 weeks, restart our quarantine, and then they're gonna ship us back to the U.S. So it was like a forceful fucking 2 week.
See, all these people that are saying, well, why can't we be like South Korea? They're fucking beating the curve. And they're like, I don't want to wear a mask. Like, this is why they're beating the curve. Because militants are fucking staying outside your fucking, everyone that's complaining about their loss of freedoms, and I get it, but don't compare yourselves to other countries because this is what's happening. This is how imagine that happened in the US right now. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I quickly learned like the human rights aren't necessarily the same over there. It's like the 4th day, I was working out pretty good and I ran out of fucking water. So they ration you water. So I called down to the front desk. I was like, hey, I ran out of water. Could you send me some more up? And they're like, no, we gave you your water for the day. And I'm like, I drank that. Can I have some more? They fucking hung up the phone and disconnected it. So I couldn't call down to the front desk anymore.
Oh shit.
They're like, nah, bitch, we gave you water. That's it.
So how are you able to train with the Korean Zombie for his fight?
So after the 2-week quarantine, we got out, and then Zombie and his wife were fucking just awesome people. Like they took care of us so good. They took us out and fucking took us to dinner. As soon as we got out, took us to dinner, took us out getting drunk. We got drunk as shit, fucking had a good time. And then that next Monday morning, we started training, we started sparring. And so it was a really like the first 2 weeks was kind of touch and go because they had like restrictions on like who all could go to the gym. Like they couldn't have full team practices. So it was like Zombie and then me and 2 other guys. And then we just kind of like started easing into it. And then fucking 4th weekend, we're banging, we're fucking fist fighting. And yeah, he kind of kicked my ass pretty good on the 4th week, man. It was kind of because he expected me to give him a special look like Ortega does. Right. And he wanted me to come forward. And he kept fucking hitting me, trying to knock me out. And I'm like, yo, dude, I can't keep fucking giving you this look and coming forward. Like, if you're going to try to knock me out, I'm like, if we're going to fight, then we got to fucking fight. Like, I can't just be your punching bag, And after that,
Ortega, but he wanted to go 100%. And you're like, but that's
not he wanted to go 100%. And then I had to keep him safe too. You know what I mean? It was like, I had to give him the look, but also not hurt him. And I'm like, dude, either we're fucking fight. If you want to fight and go hard, then we got to fight and go hard because I can't fucking give you a look and keep you safe while you're trying to knock me out, dude. But like once after he fucked me up the 4th week, like I was kind of like explained it to him, explained it to the coach, and then it got better. Like I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna fight more like me. And then the intensity was still up, but we were able to do it.
Now, for the first 2 weeks of quarantine, you're in a room for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't now. Did you call your family? Did you call your girlfriend? Did you call you and be like, get me the fuck out of here?
Yeah, I mean, it was literally the third day I was in there. I fucking broke. Because I didn't know what. First of all, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Right, I was expecting something completely different than what the fuck the situation was, and I was like, what do they call it? Like institutionalized kind of moment where I was like, man, fuck this. Like, I'm basically locked in solitary confinement. I did nothing wrong. Like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm gonna buy my own plane ticket and I'm gonna go back home. And like, I called my coach and he's like, dude, you realize you step out of that door, they're taking you to jail and then you're going to restart your 2 weeks. Oh. And then I was like, fuck. So luckily I was able to just chill the fuck out. Like take a shower, took a long shower, like realize. And then I'm like, all right, like fucking. And then I started to see the silver lining. I'm like, when as an adult, are you ever going to get 2 weeks to yourself to just fucking hang out and do whatever the fuck you want? Like, of course you're in a fucking jail cell, but it's like, you don't have to get up at any time. You don't have to go to work at any time. You don't got to do shit, but just exist for 2 weeks. So once I realized that, I kind of saw the silver lining. I started having fun.
Was there internet? Was there porn?
Dude, yeah, there was internet, but there's no fucking porn over there. So
God.
They blocked porn on the internet, dude. So
you got to have a VPN. You got to get the virtual private network. So you can, that's what they sell in China. When you get off the plane, they're like, "You're gonna want the VPN."
Yeah, you're gonna want to take off at some point.
Exactly. And I didn't realize that's what they were saying to me, But they kept going, "No, you're gonna want the VPN." I'm like, "What do I do the VPN?" And then I realized because otherwise you can't watch porn.
Now, Greg, what would you have done if you were him? If you got to train with a Korean zombie, they put you in the hotel for 2 weeks and you can't leave.
I would have lost my mind because I would have been going through withdrawals. I would have been like, okay, well, can you send up some weed, or I'm gonna need a crate of Jack Daniels and a bushel of marijuana and as many pornographic magazines as I can get my hands on, and then I would come out the next week after 2 weeks with one arm like a Popeye arm from jerking off, just like Rafael Nadal has that one crazy strong arm. That would be my fucking jerk arm.
Now your girlfriend's a fighter, beautiful girlfriend. Did she call you and tell you to hang in there? Or?
Yeah, for sure. So it was actually her fight week too. Like the first week I was in quarantine, like she was getting ready to fight. She fought her Poliana Viana. So she was kind of like this, like doing her own thing there. So I didn't really bug with her, but yeah, she like messaged me and stuff. And like, luckily I had a good fucking like library saved on my phone of good stuff. So I didn't really need the porn. I just had my own porno shoots. And then
good for you.
I was able to smuggle in a couple of like THC cartridges too. So I was smoking.
There you go. You're vaping your brains out, huh? Good for you.
Oh, I was getting stoned as a motherfucker.
That's the way to pass the time for sure. Is just to get fucking balls out stoned. And they're just like, look at that sunset, man.
Totally. And so zombie finally, like the second week I was there, he sent me a PlayStation 4. And like I never play games, but I fucking got super baked and just played video games all day. And
there you go. Welcome to living like a comedian, my man.
Is Don Frye with us? Is that you? All right, there's somebody's with us. All right, so let's talk about the fights over the weekend. RDA versus Paul Felder. Here's where I kind of got nervous about this fight, right? When Paul Felder said, "I have nothing to lose," I like it when a guy has something to lose because when I feel like when these guys take these fights on 1 week, and nothing against Paul Felder, he did great. He's an elite athlete. He's an amazing guy, and I love the guy. But I feel like there's always going to be like, well, I lost, but I only had 1 week to train. And I get nervous when that happens because, especially when you're fighting an elite guy like RDA, like when has this ever really panned out where 1 week it's worked? It worked for Bisping when he knocked out Luke Rockhold. I think Luke got pretty cocky and put his hands down. And it worked for Nate Diaz when he beat Conor McGregor. But for the other guys, it seems like this 1 week is just, when you're fighting the guys that good, it doesn't seem to really pan out too well. Johnny Case, thoughts?
No, man. And I mean, yeah, like you said, Paul Felder's a fucking stud. You know what I mean? Like he could easily fight with the world level, you know what I mean? With the best in the world, compete with those guys. But that's the difference between competing and beating those guys is the time that it takes to prepare. You know what I mean? And fucking RDA looked like the best, you know what I mean? Like he just gets better and better every fight. You know what I mean? And I think he's got a good chance of really going for that title now that Khabib is out of there. You know what I mean? He's right in the mix with anybody else, I think, after that performance he had on Saturday. But yeah, man, I think it just comes down to like when you're fighting the elitist of the elite, like you need time to prepare, or you at least need to be preparing for a fight. Like if Felder would have had a fight like a week or two after that fight, then I think the results could have been different as well. But you know, I think he was only like doing triathlon shit, wasn't even grappling. So yeah. It's
Don
tough.
Frye, Don, did you watch the fights?
No. I was busy. I was meeting the guy that killed Osama bin Laden.
I was going to say, were you at the restaurant meeting the guy that killed Osama bin Laden? All right.
That's it, buddy. That's it.
Don, you ever take a fight on 1 week notice or no?
What's that?
You ever fight on short notice?
Yeah, of course. You know, I mean, you don't make excuses. You take the goddamn fight and you deal with it. You know, otherwise don't take the fight. I'm sick and tired of hearing that shit. Oh, I only had 2 weeks of training. You know, I was ovulating. You know, as we came. You know, don't take the fucking fight.
Yeah.
Greg Frye, do you take fights on short notice?
I took a fight this morning. I had 5 minutes notice. 5 minutes notice. I took a fight. I lost. But it came with an incredible pancake breakfast.
Okay, there you go. All right, well, there you go. Another fight that fucking Chaos Williams versus the other guy was like to test his chin. I'm like, whoa. I mean, that dude like just woke up. Fuck. But at the same time, look, I don't know how great Chaos Williams is because, you know, we haven't seen him go the distance in a while. And it seems like when he wins, he just knocks people out. But man, has that guy got power. Holy shit. Johnny Case, thoughts?
Yeah, that's a scary motherfucker, dude. He's got that one punch, that one hit, that one hitter quitter kind of power. You know what I mean? And it's not like kind of power like he hits you and then they're like, oh, stumble. It's like that motherfucker was stiff as a board. But boom! Like, yeah, I mean, like that kind of power is just it's God given. You know what I mean? Like I wish you could train to improve it, but that guy is just fucking gifted. You know what I mean? There's no other way to put it.
Don,
that's straight right. I mean, he didn't even like load up. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even like he went for it. It was just like just a straight right and out. It was crazy.
Now I got to ask you because when you learn boxing, they always tell you the straight punches hurt the most. But then I always see guys throw wide punches. Which hits harder?
Whatever's timed better. Really. I mean, really the only difference between straight punches and like hooks and overhands and uppercuts is the angle at which they're landing. You know what I mean? So it's like really your power should always be there if like you're using the appropriate tool. So if your straight right is lined up, bam, that's going to be your hardest punch. If he's got his hands up and you got to throw it over the top and throw the overhand right, then that's going to be your hardest punch. So, I mean, really like anything from your power side is going to be the more powerful, whether it's the power uppercut, power overhand, power straight right, and lead hook.
Frye, thoughts?
They all hurt. You know, like my buddy Stuart Wilson, you know, he was talking, his dad was a pro boxer, and we were listening to the commentator saying, oh, there's nothing there, those don't feel it, you know, he's not going to feel that. Bullshit, you feel them all, man, you know, and they take their tally. You may not feel them at that moment, but you'll feel them tomorrow.
Now, they always say the ones you don't see are the ones that hurt you the most. Do you agree with that?
I go back to my last statement, man. They all hurt, you know, shit. But yeah, you don't see them coming. You know, that's the one that really catches you hard. I mean, there's no chance to slip out of the way, and so they just level you.
Johnny, who hit you the hardest at all your fights?
The hardest I've ever been hit in probably Tofik Musayev, my last fight. But man, so I like not to make excuses, but fucking I got knocked out in practice the week prior to that, just drilling with the fucking kid, and I ended up having like a CSF leak. You know what that is? It's like cerebral spinal fluid. Like I got hit so hard, it hit me straight in the temple. So it didn't take it. My bone structure didn't take any of the force. It was just straight temple, and I ended up fucking have brain fluid leaking out of my fucking head for a couple days. And then I fought a week later and got knocked the fuck out. So I think honestly,
how do you get knocked out by drilling?
Well, why did you do that?
That's a great question. So what happened? I was drilling with another Russian kid. I'm not saying it was fucking intentional or not, but I was drilling with another Russian and just so happened to be fighting a Russian. And he was normally a good training partner. We were drilling. I was drilling my level changes and he went to go throw a fucking knee and just bam, hit me right in the temple, knocked me the fuck out. So.
But he's throwing knees.
See, then your trainer said,
what was that, Don?
Your trainer said, told you you're not fighting. Your trainer said, told you you're not fighting.
Yeah, but it was a tournament though. It was a Ryzen tournament, so it was one of those things where they couldn't reschedule the whole tournament.
Hey, people pull out all the fucking time. You know, I mean that's life. And the thing is, you can't erase a loss. You can always make up for missing a fight. You know, sitting it out, but you can't erase a loss. It's there forever. There's no little asterisks next to your name.
It's true. That's so true. I think in hindsight, I think going back, I definitely would have pulled out. You know what I mean? Because it's like, fuck. Because then, you know what I mean? I got knocked out like 3 times this year already, just from in fucking training, and it started with that need that I had the CSF brain leak. I had fucking brain fluid leaking out, and I've never been knocked out in my career. I've never been knocked out my whole entire career, and I've been knocked out 3 times this year. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, I think it goes back to what Don says, you know, there's no fucking substitute for a healthy brain, and, you know, fighting's only a short time.
You need to have a talk with your trainer. You know that? I mean, that's the bottom line. Your trainer, shouldn't let you fucking fight if there's something like that. That's all there is to it. You know,
did your trainer know about the brain fluid thing?
Yeah, I told him. You know what I mean? I told him. It was one of those things, like, it happened, and then I came home, and I was, like, taking a shower, and, like, I went to go bend over, and then my girlfriend was there, and, like, fucking pink fluid just started, like, squirting out of my nose.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, but I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel concussed anymore. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes when you get your shit rocked, you feel a little bit out of it. So I didn't feel bad. But then she was like, no, you need to go to the emergency room. And I was like, nah, let's just wait. I'll go to training tonight and we'll see. And then right then it just fucking like a floodgate of just like pink antifreeze is kind of what it looked like. Just pink antifreeze is fucking falling on my face. So then I go to the doctor and he's like, yeah, well, this fucking brain fluid. And he's like, I would advise you not to get hit for, you know, anytime in the near future. And I'm like, well, I fight next week. And he's like, well, don't get hit. So, it was kind of one of those things.
That's a great theory. That's a great theory, you know. I think I'll fight work on that. You know?
I feel like if you're a NASCAR driver, you're like, well, whatever you do, don't drive. But I have a race next week. It's like, well, try not to drive in it.
I mean, the hard part was, Johnny, that was for you were one fight away from winning $1 million, right?
Yeah, winning that Rising Grand Prix title, which is, you know, fucking like it's a dream. You know what I mean? Going back to Pride days, you know what I mean? Like winning the Pride Grand Prix was amazing. Such an amazing fucking like milestone in your career, you know.
That's why you did it, and you know you were winning that fight till you got caught. The last fight, you were doing great. You know?
Thank you.
But hey, man, you know maybe this year off is a blessing in disguise because you know you get the PFL, you got a year off, you got your brain could heal, your body could heal, and then you have another chance to win $1 million next year.
Exactly, and I'm the only guy to have a draw with the back-to-back lightweight champion in the PFL. So my chances are good. I'm fucking excited, and yeah, I mean, like I'm right there in the mix. I know I can beat that fucking guy too, so I'm ready for the opportunity. So
also last week, Ashley Yoder won her fight. I like Ashley Yoder. I think she had. Something happened with her brother. Her brother passed away, and she's a great person. Super hot. You meet her in person, you're like, whoa, and cool. Funny story about her was Tom Galicchio told me. So Toothless Tom, when he was looking for gyms, he's from New Jersey. He's like the M1 champion, and he wants to leave Jersey, so he calls every gym. The only gym that gets back to him is Team Quest. And he goes, hey, I want to train there. He calls like AKA, ATT. So he moves to Team Quest, but they don't know who he is. So he walks in there, and they put him with Ashley Yoder as his training partner.
That's cool.
For like 2 weeks, he's training with a 115-pound girl. He's like the defending M1 champion, this guy. Like, he has, like, the belt. And then they finally realize, oh wait, this guy's actually fought before. Is not some fucking jabroni off the street. So it's a pretty funny story.
But did it actually kick his ass though? That's the question. Was she fucking him up?
I mean, that's just so funny. That I'm like, why'd you pick Quest? He's like, no one else got back to me. He's such a fucking dude. I went to his wedding and they forgot the wedding ring. When it was time to exchange vows, they had to get a wedding ring from somebody in the crowd.
Oh my God.
Just typical toothless Tom Galicchio. And then, right, I go, Tom, did you put a tooth in the front? He goes, no, actually, I tried, but it was too expensive. So I ripped out a crown from the back, but it wouldn't fit. It's like, so he actually ripped out a tooth from the back of his mouth. I'm like, yeah, usually it doesn't fit if it's a different tooth.
Oh my God. What
have a molar in the front. That's hilarious.
Should have just used like a chiclet or something.
So yeah, that's what I said. So Strickland won versus Allen. Now Strickland in that fight, he said, if I fight the way I did in the gym, I'll be a world champion. How common is that guys don't fight the way they do in the gym in fights?
That's real common. That's real common. You see it all the time in the wrestling room in college, and then you see, guys who go into the fight game from college with the same attitude. They're tougher than nails. They're the world champions in the locker room, the workout room, but they piss themselves when they got to go out there and fight in front of somebody. It's ridiculous.
True story.
But that never happened to you, right? Don?
What?
Did that ever happen to you?
No, I do a lot better from the crowd. The workout room, I get my ass kicked, almost every day because I'm trying new stuff. I'm trying to work on my weak spots, and that's how you improve. You don't go in there and just work on, what you're good at. You got to fix the fundamentals of where you're weak, and so you take a beating doing that.
What about you, Johnny?
Totally. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. So, just like there's that dichotomy of guys who are fucking killers, world champions in the gym, and then they go out there and they shit their pants in the fight night. But then there's guys in the gym who are just kind of average, but they work hard, you know what I mean? And then they show up and they're fucking gamers and they're never off on their fights. You know what I mean? It's like, and I tend to be more of the latter. I've never really except for my very first pro fight, I fucking was I knew what I was getting myself into and I wasn't ready for that fight. So but after that fight, I told myself never again am I going to fucking step in this ring unless I'm ready to fucking go. And you know what I mean? So you see it from both ways. You see studs who go out there and they can't perform. And then you see guys who are just kind of average and they go out there and they fucking shine bright. So it goes both ways.
Who's the guy at the gym that you were like, man, they could only do what they did in the gym in the fight?
I'm sure you saw his fight, Max Roshkov.
Yeah.
Max, he quit on the show. That guy is the most fucking scariest grappler I have ever gone. Like that guy fucking mauls everybody in the gym. That guy just destroys. Like it's nothing. You know what I mean? So then the moment he went out there in that fight and that kid, he wasn't able to just break that kid and completely dominate that kid. He fucking broke. You know what I mean? And I love Max. Max is a good dude, but it comes down to fucking, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to be the nail. You can't just be the hammer all the time. And if you do, the moment you become, a nail in the fight, you're done. So
yeah,
it is weird. And you want to know who the best guy who was like average in the training room was, who goes out and shines, is Kelvin Gastelum. That fucking dude, like in the training room.
So wait a minute.
Like,
so in his fights, was him shining?
Come on, dude. He's
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean, like what you would see like in the training room, like he doesn't seem like anything special, but then you see him fight and you're like, fuck, dude, I wouldn't want to fight that dude.
Don Frye, who's the guy that you were in the gym? You were like, if only he could do in the gym what he did in the cage.
A big old guy named Sam Sotelo. Actually, all my guys, Rainy Martinez, Rich Moreno, all those guys, they were tougher than nails in the wrestling room, and but they just didn't have the opportunity to put it together out in the ring. But they became such great workout partners because they left their egos at the door and they all concentrated just on me, So there was we would get guys come in there, take cheap shots, and we'd run them out. They'd be there for one or two times and then they're gone because they knew if they're gonna pull that shit, they weren't gonna fucking be walking anymore.
Now, was there a guy in the gym that was like, but then out in the octagon, he was a monster, or back in the Pride ring?
Shit. Probably, BJ Penn, yeah.
All right, another fight that happened.
Wait a minute. Strickland. Now wasn't Strickland the guy that 2 weeks ago he was yelling at his opponent to just go down?
Yeah.
That was fucking. He came back out. I was kind of waiting for him to do that shit again, like just go down. That was so fucking weird.
I like the guy. I'll tell you who's going to be a problem is that little Japanese 115 pounder that beat from Japan.
Marcos. Marcos.
Because Marcos is a good wrestler, a really good wrestler, and she was just threw her on her back. She was like almost an Olympian. She's got those like Japanese muscles. You know those like Asian muscles where they don't look like they're not ripped, they're just solid. Like you ever see, like some of those Asian guys, they just have like they almost look like they're from the Midwest and they just throw hay around, fucking barrels of hay. They have like those type of like the Dagestani muscles where they're just like thick. And this girl is going to be a problem. I'm curious to see how like she does because her striking. I don't know how good her striking is because she just goes for the wrestling, but she looked tough. She looked really tough. Good for her. Now Bellator. Don, are you still with us? What happened to Greg Frye? You still with us?
All right,
All right, good. Now this Thursday night, we have Don left. We have Darian Caldwell versus Antonio Mckee. I am so excited for this fight. I said Darian Caldwell was a guy that I watched wrestle in college when he beat Brett Metcalf in the finals. Brett Metcalf, Iowa guy, like you, Johnny Case. And Metcalf was the bully, and Caldwell threw a head and arm to start the fight in the NCAA finals, which is like a move that you teach middle school kids not to do. It's like when I see girls do it, I'm like, no, stop it. It's like wrestling 101. It almost never works. I always tell kids, like, do this when you're down 12-0, and it's a Hail Mary move, right? He opened the wrestling match with it and hit it. Got a 5-point thing. And then towards the end of the match, he did like 3 backflips. And then Metcalf ran him off the mat. It was fucking bananas. And Metcalf teched him 3 weeks before that. Like, so Caldwell's a guy that I always thought was going to be like the shit. And he was. He just, some reason, can't beat Haraguchi in Japan. Haraguchi's got his number. One guy's always got your number. Antonio Mcgee is a guy whose father was a guy that everybody avoided. He was kind of a boring fighter, but he was a good fighter, but he just didn't play by the rules in the UFC. He got into other organizations. He was kind of boring. He was big in Canada, but he was a solid fighter. Sort of peaked before his time, didn't really cast a wave with MMA, but his son is a stud. And this is going to be a good fight. I don't know who's going to win because McKee's like grown up as an MMA guy. And Caldwell is a wrestler who converted to a mixed martial artist. Who do we like in this fight, Johnny Case?
I'm gonna have to go with my my buddy and my former teammate Darian Caldwell. Man, I actually trained with Darian for about 2 years in Arizona, and that kid is just so super talented. You know, like his grappling skills, like, and he's just learned so quickly. You know what I mean? He's able to make adjustments. You know what I mean? Obviously in the Horiguchi fight, like Horiguchi's a fucking stud. And like you said, like styles make fights. And I just don't think that style is suitable for him. But, you know, AJ McKee's a fucking stud too. You know, I'm super impressed with him, and he's got knockout power. And, you know, I know he's got like a couple, and his wrestling's good too. So it's really just going to come down to whoever can control the style, whoever can control the takedown, whoever can get the fuck up off the ground. But I think I give the edge to Mckee a little bit with the striking, but I think the grappling I give to Darian a little bit.
Well, Caldwell is like, I'm 5'10" and a half. He's about 5'11" and a half, maybe even 6 foot, and fights at 145 and is not that skinny. Like, I don't know. He must cut 40, 45 pounds. I mean, right? Am I off on this?
No, he's a big featherweight for sure. He's really big featherweight. I'm not sure exactly how much weight he cuts, but you know what I mean? That just comes on from his wrestling. You know what I mean? Like he knows how to cut weight. Like nobody cuts weight better than wrestlers. You know what I mean? And nobody cuts more weight more efficiently and refuels better. So yeah, I mean, he's got to be one of the bigger guys for his weight class for sure.
I mean, if he walks into the ring or like octagon or decagon for Bellator at 185 and he weighs, you think he can gain 40 pounds overnight? I mean, he might, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no IV bans with Bellator. You know what I mean? So you get a couple IV bags in you and you start eating shit, that fucking stacks on really quick. You know what I mean? That's great. That's what so I'm a lightweight. I weigh in at 155 and I weigh in the night of the fight, like 180, 185 between there. So the fact that he's a fucking featherweight, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. People don't realize that like you can and will. I mean, Vince Bichelle was 197 and I texted him and I'm like, Vince, the fuck are you doing? Like you got to lose 42 pounds. And he's like, oh, I'm going to get to 205 just to really piss you off. I'm like, bro, you're a pro fighter. Like, I mean, Greg, don't you think that that's a lot of weight, 45 pounds? I mean.
Dude, I've been trying to lose 45 pounds for 30 years. And these guys do it in 12 hours? Like, yeah, they're doing something I can't do. I mean, fuck. I'd love to be able to fucking do that. That's Superman shit right there. I don't know.
Pounds of hours, but they're losing about 18, 17 pounds in about 12 hours. And then they're getting back up to about 40 pounds. So, but the thing is, and I think it's a whole
gaining 40 pounds in a night, that I can do.
Yes, that's a lot easier.
That is something I have mastered throughout my life. I can do it in a weekend. 45 pounds, you got it.
Now, another card on this, fighting this card, which I'm nervous about because I like this guy a lot, Ben Henderson. I don't know if you'll ever meet a nicer killer than Ben Henderson. This is the kind of guy that like I honestly believe if there was a fire, house is on fire, and there was a kitten in the top on like 8 floors up, he would go and save the kitten. And then when you said thank you, he would tell you some religious verse or something. He's just a good human being is Ben Henderson.
Can I tell you something though? His picture on the Bellator website, it looks like he's in the Thunder from Down Under. Like it looks like your featured male dancer this week, ladies, Benson Henderson, smooth.
When I went to go see Johnny Case and these guys spar over at the gym in Arizona, he was literally fighting like some of the best guys in the world. He's grappling and taking them down, holding them down. His wife's holding his baby, and he's telling his wife what groceries to get, like during sparring. Like he's got a guillotine on one guy, and he's like, "Oh, make sure you get milk for the baby." And I'm just like, "What fucking world am I in?" But he's fighting this guy, Jason Jackson, who no one really knows Jason Jackson unless you're an MMA hardcore fan like me. Just beat Jordan Maine 30-27. I thought he beat Ed Ruth, got robbed. He has a win over Diego Lima in 1 round. This is a very dangerous fight for Ben Henderson because there's not a big upside for it. It's all down if he loses. It's tough, man. It's a tough one. Johnny Case, talk to me.
Yeah, man. Benson's like my brother. He's such a good fucking dude. He'd give you the shirt off his back. You know what I mean? And he's a fucking stud. He's a freak athlete, and his knowledge of the game is just so vast. But that being said, you know, Jackson's a fucking killer. Like I've seen some of his fights, man. He can bang. And on top of that, he's young and he's hungry and he's got something to prove. You know what I mean? Whereas Benson's kind of been there, done that. He's just kind of fighting because he enjoys fighting and, you know, makes some paychecks or whatever. But I mean, this is not the kind of fight that you want to take, you know what I mean? If you're Benson Henderson with a young, hungry, fucking long, lengthy striker like that, like, you know, it's all risk, very little reward.
Yeah, he's coming off a first round knockout to Michael Chandler. It's just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I wish him the best of luck, and I would never fucking ever count Benson Henderson out or ever say that he doesn't have a chance to win the fight.
But I wish him luck, and I wish he goes out there and fucking takes care of business.
Joey Davis, a guy that Bellator does not promote, is a 4-time national champion. Never lost in college, Division II. Still not D1, but still fucking almost impossible. He's fighting a guy named Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee from Minnesota, tough guy, tough redhead.
Yeah, I know that kid.
But I think Joey's going to just dominate him. You?
Yeah, I agree. That Bobby Lee kid, he's kind of like a blue collar, kind of a journeyman style fighter. Like he's a tough guy. He could win some fights, but I just don't think he's ready for that kind of competition just yet. And Joey's not really getting the backing from Bellator, but I think he beats bigger name guys. I think that Bellator is going to get behind him for sure.
And then Keith Lee, Kevin Lee's brother, who's on a 3-fight winning streak, taking on Rufion Stotts, another stud, 14-1, great wrestler. This is going to be a good fight. Of course, they buried it on the undercard. You have to find it. But I'm telling you, if you actually do find it on YouTube, and then Matt Bassetti is taking on Jeremy Kennedy, ex-UFC guy, ex-PFL guy, tough guy. Matt Bassetti's a guy who always wins on that minor league level. Like he's like the CFFC champion or this champion, and then he just gets to the top and he just can't seem to get over that hump. But this is a good fight. Jeremy's from Canada. Good. Any thoughts on either of those fights?
Yeah, Keith Lee and Jeremy Kennedy are my former teammates now at Extreme Couture here in Las Vegas. And they've been putting in the work day in, day out. They're studs. They're fucking great dudes. They're great training partners. And I'm expecting great things out of both of them. I think Keith Lee's got the tougher challenge with Rafian Stott. Rafian's a fucking stud. He's capable of putting anybody away. You know what I mean? And he's a good, well-rounded fighter. I don't know much about the guy that Jeremy's fighting, but I know enough about Jeremy to know that he's going to go out there and he's going to take care of business.
Good. Nice guy, too. This Canadian fighter is just nice. Just nice.
They are, dude. They are fucking nice.
One Canadian who talks shit ever in the history of Canadian fighters.
No. And they're all fucking tough, too.
It's a different breed. In news today, Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman, the rematch. Brett, are you excited for this?
Me?
Yeah.
Sure. No.
Come on, February 13th. Now, why
they couldn't find him a better match than fucking Weidman. Come on.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's a good fight. Weidman needs a win, another win. Hall did not look great against Anderson Silva. He beat him, but he didn't throw a punch to the third round. I don't know. I think that Weidman takes this.
This is the kind of match they give you when you lose to Spider Silva, but he won. So, I mean, you don't give Weidman. That makes no sense to me. It's like, here, you know what? You fought that old guy. Now we give you this broken guy. Like,
he's not broken. He's coming off a win. Coming off a big
one win. The guy's fucking, his career looks like a heart monitor. It's fucking up and down. Fuck that.
Johnny Cage.
They're trying to, it seems like they're trying to build Uriah Hall up, and it seems like Weidman is not the way to do that. That's just my opinion.
Johnny Cage.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement for sure. I think they're expecting Uriah goes out there and he just knocks out Weidman or pretty much controls the fight. But I don't really see that happening, honestly. Like you can't ever count Weidman out, and after Weidman's a long layoff, like I'm excited to see him come back and kind of get a run going again. You know what I mean? Or even if he doesn't get a run, then we'll see, that the game has kind of passed him, and where he really is just kind of a gatekeeper. But this is a fight.
See, but they just gave him a guy who the game was already past him.
We know.
You know what I mean? Like,
True.
Why would they do?
True.
Why do we see this? This is like seeing the same movie twice. Like, why are we doing this? I don't know. I'm not impressed.
We know.
Well, I think whoever wins is just going to be a depressing fight, because whenever Chris Weidman loses, he gets knocked out or whatever, I get sad because I'm a big Chris Weidman fan. Whenever Uriah Hall loses or wins, it's always depressing because he has like some depressing speech that he gives or he's like crying. So this is just going to be a sad fight all around. But I don't know. I'm not rooting for either one because I like both guys.
It's going to air on Lifetime. Now people are mad at Gina Carano. Have you been following the story?
No. What's up?
So Gina Carano, who's had a great, actually out of all the fighters in the history of MMA, has had the best acting career. Because a lot of people have been like in, had movies or whatever. She's consistently working, whether it's the Star Wars trilogy or she was in, what else was she in? She's been in a lot of stuff. Her acting.
Jay and Silent Bob movie.
She was in that. What else was Gina in? She was in, wasn't she in the, what's it called again? With Ryan Reynolds.
Deadpool.
He was in Deadpool, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
Gina Carano.
She's in the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, Mandalorian, Deadpool. She's a lot of Steven Soderbergh movies. Like they seem to really like Gina Carano, and good for her because I like it when fighters can transition. It's good for everybody when that happens. And so often we see guys when they're hot, they get a movie or two, and then all of a sudden it's just, even like Randy Couture at the beginning was doing the Expendables, this and that. Bisping's doing really well right now. They're giving Bisping a lot of movies. He's getting a big push. I think he has that whole like Guy Ritchie thing going for him. He was in the XXX movie or something. And what do you got? Anyway, so Gina is a big Trump supporter. Doesn't really outwardly say it, but kind of says like went off on the whole voting things. And what she was saying was like, we need better voting. We need better this, but that. It wasn't, nothing really was like, I thought was that controversial, but she's now joined Parler and she thinks she's anti-masks, kind of thinks we should open up the country. She's giving her opinion, right? Now the trend was fire Gina Carano. All these people were going after her. They were saying she's transphobic. She's this and that. I don't know what she said that was transphobic. I cannot comment on that. I don't know what was said. They said she was this, she's anti-mask. My personal opinion is that, maybe I don't agree with her stuff, but she's entitled to her opinion, just like everybody else. And
yes, absolutely.
And going on Parler is not illegal. Who gives a fuck if she's on Parler? Like, supposed to go on Parler, and even if she's anti-mask, and that's her position, also not illegal. Opinion. So people counting to get her fired is like, I think fucked up because we should be allowed to have different views on things. Maybe some are right, maybe some are wrong. It seems like maybe science is not on her side, but at the same point, let her voice her opinion without having the mob go after her and get her fired. And she's doubled, tripled, quadrupled down. So she's not backing down. And I give her a lot of credit because she's a Hollywood star. And I'm sure a lot of Hollywood is not agree with what she's trying to say, but she doesn't give a fuck. She's like, fuck it. You want to hire me? Fucking hire me. If not, go ahead. So in that regard, I'm like, props Gina Carano. But thoughts?
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way. You know what? I hate this cancel culture that if I disagree with your opinion, then I don't want you to have a job. Fuck you. Separate the two. Okay. You can disagree with somebody, but that shouldn't affect their ability to work. And that's the thing. We give everybody a platform. We want everybody to speak their mind. And then they do. And then they're like, oh, well, you know what? You shouldn't be in Star Wars anymore. No, that's not how this should work at all. You're welcome to disagree with her or whatever, but that doesn't affect her work. And it shouldn't affect her ability to work. This cancel culture shit. If we cancel anything, we should cancel culture.
Boom. Perfectly said.
Ronnie Case, thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the one thing, so she's more leaning toward the right or whatever. The left is kind of who's coming after her, and it's crazy to think the left can have their opinions and the right doesn't really, they're like, whatever, you're wrong, whatever. I don't agree with that shit.
No, I think cancel culture goes both ways. Let's be clear.
I haven't seen it much from the right.
It definitely goes both ways. So, but it does remain the same, and that it shouldn't.
I just don't know any examples from the right going to the left. It's always
the example that I think that you can think is the Kathy Griffin thing when she held up the head of Donald Trump and said,
"Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, I do recall. Okay, so yeah. So either way, both ways, it's fucking it's so dumb, dude. It's like people should have the fucking right to have their own opinion, and if you don't agree with it, too fuck.
Yeah.
Go kick
and listen,
off, you know what I mean?
and you could appreciate their work or not appreciate it. And that should also have nothing to do with their no one told you had to read her shit. Nobody. And also, again, she's an athlete. She's an actress. I mean, who cares? Okay, she speaks her mind. You speak your mind. That doesn't have anything to do with her ability to perform her job. And she should be allowed to do. I mean, so long as she's not, hurting anybody and doing anything criminal, then why should she not be allowed to continue? It's silliness. Cancel culture. Everybody go fuck yourself.
Damn right.
And for every Gina Carano part that she got, there's like a million actresses who tried to get that job. So the fact that she got it and she stays working, she's really defying the odds. So let's not cancel it. Like it's not that fucking easy. They're just giving out jobs to be in Star Wars. I mean, she had to jump through a fucking billion hoops to get these jobs.
It's one thing when you're doing something criminal. When there's, some kind of sexual assault or something like that, well, that's a little harder to look the other way. But when you're talking about someone just expressing their opinions, that is fundamentally what this country's supposed to be about. Freedom of speech and not feeling like you're going to lose everything just for expressing yourself.
Exactly. So back to fighting. Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar got signed today. Good fight. I think Holloway's got it. I think he's just a little bit of a level up against Calvin Kattar. I just think he's a little bit more elite. Johnny Case, talk to me.
I would agree. Kelvin is a fucking stud, and I love watching him fight. That knockout over Jeremy Stevens was sick. His last fight against Dan Ige, was that his last fight? That was a fucking solid fight. So I like Kelvin. I think he's got a bright future, but I think I would have to agree with you. Like, I think Max has just been there, done that. He's got the experience, and he's a notch above Kelvin at the moment.
Greg, thoughts?
Max is the only one that I'm really familiar with, and he's been doing great lately, so I'm definitely not going to bet against him.
Yeah, absolutely. He texted me randomly out of the blue for I haven't heard from him 5 years. He goes, "Hey man, just saying hello. Hope you're doing well." And I texted him back, and he didn't get back to me.
He sent that text to everybody in his contacts.
I was gonna say, yeah, he definitely sent that to a different Adam, and then you hit him back, and he's like, "The fuck is that guy hitting me up for?" Yeah, I hope you're good too. Then he probably saw the other Adam like a week later. Was like, "Hey, you never replied to my text. What's up?" He's like, "I never got a text from you."
All right, so UFC this weekend, real quick. Division Figueroa. 19-1 against Alex Perez. That's the main event, which is crazy that they're having a flyweight main event on a pay-per-view card. I think a lot of people are going to be like, fuck that, but who cares?
That's why they have 2 championship fights to make up for the flyweight being the headliner.
That's exactly right.
But I think Division's going to win this fight. I think he's been on fucking steamrolling everybody. Alex Perez is good, but I don't think he's as good as Division.
Well, and I think this guy, Figueiredo, however you're supposed to say, Figueiredo, right? I think the reason he's kind of captured, a little bit of the imagination. He's kind of a bad boy. He's kind of got this edge to him. And I think that's what's kind of put him in this position. I think they're trying to maybe now build that brand and see if people respond to this, because I think they have. I think based on his last fight, he generated some buzz.
Yeah, he beat Benavidez twice.
Yeah.
Brutally too.
And it was a hell of a fight. Exactly. I think he really created a lot of buzz with that last one.
Johnny.
Yeah, dude. I just don't think Perez has what it takes to take him out. Perez is the top 10 guy, maybe top 5, but I don't think he's top 2. So, for the champ looked fucking amazing against those last 2 fights with Joe Benavidez. So I'd have a hard time seeing anybody at that flyweight. I was really looking forward to seeing Cody Garbrandt come down to 25 and take that fight. I think that would have been a fucking barn burner, but I just don't think Perez has what it takes, man.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think that's what I mean by trying to build his brand. They're definitely giving him somebody that he's going to be able to put on a good show with,
Now Shevchenko versus Jennifer Maia.
Damn.
I think this is kind of a mismatch too. I like Jennifer Maia, but I think that she surprised bad JoJo. She's got 6 losses. Some of the losses are the girls. They're just not. Shevchenko's on a different level right now, and she's smoking hot. I don't even understand this. I think this is not even a real person. I know Ben Askren is like a spy or something. I'm kind of with Askren on this. There's something really weird about this girl, but I think she wins this fight. Ween Dog.
Yeah, I think she just steamrolls Jennifer Maia. I think this is one of those cards where most of the MMA fans know exactly what's going to happen in the two main events. I don't know if that takes away from the excitement of the card because, with Valentina, she's so dominant and so fun to watch. And Davison Figueiredo, this dude is scary, dude. So it's probably both these fights are probably going to end in finishes. So I think that is something to look forward to this card for. But I think Valentina is just going to smash this girl, dude.
Greg?
Let me ask you though. Let's ask this question though, because I've paid for a number of the pay-per-views this year. Primarily because you can't really go out and watch these. But who in this group right now? Who's actually going to pay for this weekend? Adam? Because I'm not going to pay to see this.
But it's a pretty deep card. It's actually a deep card. If you look at all right. So
the third fight is the one that I think is the most entertaining.
Mike Perry's must-watch television.
Must-watch TV right there. If I pay for this fight, which I probably actually finally will, because I always say I'm not going to, and then I get bored and I'm like, fuck it, I'm paying for it. I'm going to watch this. But if I'm paying the money, it's for the Mike Perry fight.
No, he's going to be. Well, he probably might be in jail soon or something. You don't know how long we're going to have Mike Perry free.
You gotta enjoy while you got him.
So Mike Perry is just, him and War Machine and Mayhem may have that fight club.
I was gonna say that he should change his name to Mayhem Mike Perry.
I just think that the Convicta Fighting Championships might get a little bit more Mike Perry.
Nice.
So, but Johnny Case, Tim Means, Mike Perry, who wins this fight?
I'm such a fan of Mike Perry just because he's a fucking wild man and he's cool as shit too. Every time I've met him, he's been a good dude. But I like Tim Means, man. Tim Means is I've been a fan of Tim Means for a long time. I've shared the locker room with him. I really like what he's all about, and I think stylistically, he's a long fucking dude. He's especially at welterweight. I think he can keep the distance and keep Mike off him. I think Means wins the fight.
He's also pretty smart. I don't think he knows that Mike Perry's only shot is to go punch for punch with him. So I don't see him going punch for punch. But we know who wins this fight.
Well, I think Mike Perry is actually a really good grappler too. I think we saw that when he fought Mckee Gall. So Mike Perry, I don't think he's one-dimensional because I think he might be able to take Tim Means down, but I really do think Mike Perry is going to win this fight. Maybe first round knockout, I don't know, but recently I haven't been too good picking fights. So who knows? Every time I bet against Tim Means always ends up winning. So I don't know. I don't know who wins this fight, but I'm
really surprised that Mike Perry came out as a hardcore Trump supporter or no?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I mean, a lot of fighters are being more politically vocal. So I encourage everybody to speak their mind. I don't think we should suppress anybody, but I'm not surprised that he came out as a Trump supporter. Isn't he from Florida? And that's a pretty red place.
He get the black vote also. So
that's true.
Now, also on this card.
Wait a minute, do I get to weigh in on this one? I want to weigh in on this one. Come on, what are you skipping? What am I, chopped liver here? Listen, Tim Means should obviously win this fight. But I still think Mike Perry finds a way. I mean, yeah, Tim Means shouldn't go blow to blow with him, but I think Mike Perry cuts off the ring and forces him to fight. I think even though Tim Means should win, if it goes to a decision, Tim Means. But I don't think it gets to a decision, and I think Mike Perry finds a way to get it done.
If Mike Perry wins, does his 18-year-old girlfriend get Trainer of the Year? Because she's going to be undefeated with him.
And she's pregnant right now.
Really? She's pregnant?
You didn't know that? Yeah, she's going to be pregnant in his corner.
Oh my God!
With Mike's baby?
Yes. Well, we think that's the.
I'm just joking, Mike. Don't attack me. I'm just kidding. I make jokes. I'm a comedian. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, the baby's gonna come out with a big face tattoo and cursing. Also on this card, Cynthia Cavillo, who I'm a big fan of. She's a great girl. A girl that her boyfriend dumped her when she was 21. She went to take her kickboxing class to get in shape. Now she's ranked 3rd in the world. It just goes to show you that sometimes guys are doing you a favor, women might break up with you. She's fighting Caitlin Chukagian, who's coming off a tough loss to Valentina. Caitlin's a good karate girl, always grunts really loud when she throws, which I think sways the judges a lot of times because they hear her. I think Cynthia wins this fight. Because of her wrestling and her just overall toughness and angry Mexican behavior. Johnny Case, who do we like in this fight?
I like Cynthia. I like them both. I do. I like Chukagan, the way she fights with that that karate K1 kickboxing kind of style. But man, there's something to be said for that fucking Mexican style of just forward pressure and fucking throw hands until you drop kind of fighting style that Cynthia possesses. And she's game as fuck too. I've never seen Cynthia show up to a fight and not be ready to fucking bang. So I think it comes down to grit, and I think Cynthia takes this fight. I think she either finishes her or dominates her in a decision.
Greg?
We just saw Chukagian fight, like a month ago?
Yeah.
And she lost that fight, right?
Oh, yeah, she got hit in the rib by Jessica Andrade. Remember her rib?
Oh, that's right. Listen, I like her in a comeback. I like her coming back fast. I like her coming back with a lot of energy and looking to take this girl's head off. I like Caitlin in this one in a comeback.
Ween Dog?
This is going to be a tough one, dude. I think it goes to a decision. Both of these girls are really good at jiu-jitsu. Let's not forget, Caitlin Chukagian trains with John Danaher, and that gym has Gary Tonin, Gordon Ryan. So she's no joke on the ground. And Cynthia Cavillo is like basically known for her jiu-jitsu. So I think it may be a stalemate in the jiu-jitsu realm in this fight. But I think Cynthia will have the more dominant position. So I think the judges will end up giving it to Cynthia.
Cynthia went to Thailand, got like staph infection, had to spend like a week in a Thai hospital with no insurance. I mean, she's just like, she just had a tough little road. Paul Craig versus Shogun rematch. Paul Craig wins every fight by triangle, and he's losing. They fought like 3 times ago. I'm not really sure why they're fighting again, but Shogun won the first one barely. I like Paul Craig. They call him the Jew Bear. I don't think he's Jewish though. I'm not really sure why. You're allowed to have, or the Bear Jew. I don't know why. I don't know why you're allowed to just be the Bear Jew, but if you're not Jewish, fuck it, we'll claim them. So, Greg, you go with Bear Jew or Shogun?
I'm gonna go with Bear Jew just because Shogun again. These old guys, and then they come out. I mean, I know they still have skills. I know they still have grit. But they look old. They look old. They don't look like their former selves. There's no way I'm putting it on Mauricio. I'm definitely going Paul Craig.
Johnny Case.
Paul Craig, man. Exactly what Greg said, dude. Like, it's hard to see these guys, because you see, what they were, right, when they were at their pinnacle. And then you see them now, and they're like a shadow of themselves. And it's like, man, you don't really want to see that. And even so, it's like, even if the guys they beat, it's like, man, then that guy got beat by a has-been out the window kind of a Shogun. What does that say about him competing at the modern day fucking elite level? You know what I mean? So I think Paul Craig gets the win. And
you don't think that they look differently because of the testing and Pride?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, there's definitely a difference between Shogun in the Pride era and Shogun in his UFC era. But even Shogun in his UFC era showed a lot of fucking championship talent and skill set. But I just don't see that happening anymore.
Ween Dog.
Well, apparently their last fight was actually a draw. It ended in a draw. Damn, dude. I don't know who's going to win this fight. I'm going to pick Shogun via KO in the first round, but I don't know, honestly.
That is a super specific prediction to be followed by, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's a knockout by the knee, first round, 3 minutes, 32 seconds in, but I don't know.
Also on this card, Joaquin Buckley, who had that crazy kick win where the guy caught his leg.
Oh, yeah, and he jumped into his face. Yeah, that was great.
He's fighting a guy called the Beverly Hills Ninja, who's a white guy who's 11-0, who looks like a banker. He seems to win all his fights, but I saw a couple of his fights, I think in the LFA, and I wasn't that impressed. He got rocked and then came back with some weird karate chop or something and won. But I don't know if he's ready for this level of competition. I'm going to go with Joaquin Buckley, but I like the fact that there's a Beverly Hills Ninja in MMA. I think it's good for the sport, but I don't know how good this guy is. Johnny Case.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Beverly Hills Ninja Kid, and I know very, very little about Joaquin Buckley. But given his UFC debut, that first performance he had against was it Impa
Yeah.
I forget and Impa's a good fucking fighter too. So to see him get starched like that by such a crazy fucking karate kick like that. Like,
That was so awesome.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was like
that was some Jackie Chan shit, man. That was fucking. I was like, now that's some martial arts. That's a fucking yeah.
Well, the guy who hates him though is James Krause. Banned him from the gym. I guess he talks a lot of shit. So he's a real loudmouth. He's a punk. He really wants to fight this guy. He says nothing good about Joaquin Buckley.
Well, knowing that, I'm going to go with Beverly Hills Ninja then, because I know James Krause, and he's a fucking great dude, fellow Midwestern guy, and if you don't like him, then fuck him.
Also, Joaquin Buckley, his first fight, he actually lost to Kevin Holland via KO in the first round or the third round. Yeah. So, and then he went on to win against Impa, but I'm going to pick Jordan Wright to win this fight via KO. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Dude, what about the Battle of the Brandons? That's going to be a great fight.
That is going to be a good fight. That Brendan Royale looked great in his last fight. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But before we leave, we got to talk about our boy, Alan Juban, on this card as well. He is fighting Jared Gooden, who's actually won 3 in a row. He's a really funny guy. He came on the show a couple times too. Really love telling me black jokes. He's a black guy, but he's had the most offensive black jokes I've ever heard.
Strong clarification.
I had to laugh, even though it was kind of uncomfortable. But Alan Juban, we need a win here, buddy. We gotta pull this out. This is gonna be a good fight. But man, Alan's been on the sideline. I know he had COVID. I know he had some kind of injuries, but I think he's got this. I do. I think he's this other guy is his first time in the UFC. Bright Light says he's a fan of Alan Juban. It's always a danger when a guy's a fan of yours. Who do we like in this fight, Johnny Case?
I like Alan Juban. I really like the way he fights. We haven't seen him fight in a while, you know what I mean? And I was a fan. We kind of got signed around the same time. We both fought on the same.
Yeah.
And I've been following career ever since, and I'm really eager to see.
Greg?
Listen, I would love to see Alan win. He's a friend of the show. He's a hell of a nice guy. Love the guy. But I honestly don't know what he's doing getting back in the ring. I feel in the octagon. I feel like his time has passed. He had a good run. I think we saw what he could do. And this Jaron Gooden he's coming in. I think this is his debut, it says. So, I mean, he's hungry, looking to make a stamp on things. I'm worried about Alan in this fight. I think he loses.
Ween Dog.
Man, it's so hard to pick against Alan Juban because he's always been super nice to me whenever he was on the show in person. So, and he's also a very exciting fighter. His fights are not boring, dude. He is a wild man in there. But also, he gets rocked in like every single fight that he has because he makes it a war. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna pick Alan Juban just because I know him personally and he's always been sweet to me. But fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. No, he gets fight during like the walkout. Well, listen, that is our show today. I'm shooting my comedy special tomorrow in Las Vegas. Super excited.
Have a great time. Have fun, man. You got this.
Johnny Case, thanks for coming. Greg, thanks for coming. Ween Dog, thanks for coming.
Yep.
See you guys soon. Take care, guys.